Hello and welcome to a live edition of the Tailgate, coming from you from Indianapolis, Indiana, from the NFL Combine. Ralph, we've been doing this for the last 2 days.
I know. I'm
Ralph
getting a little
Vacchiano
tired
and
talking to you.
So we had to bring in the big dog today.
No,
Hey.
thankfully.
Look, excited to show up.
Us so we don't have any
Exactly.
issues.
We got Leger Douzable today. Speaking of big guys, the O-lineman spoke today. Jets and Giants, like we've talked about before, 4 picks in the top 10. Both could probably use some O-line help. Giants obviously more than the Jets. Guy by the name of Ikem Ekwonu? Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah.
All right, yes. How well would he fit into a Jets lineup and a Giants lineup?
I think he fits well in both. I'll start with the Giants first. They need help.
First of all, will he make it to the Jets or the Giants?
If he makes it, there's rumors that this guy could go number 1 overall, and he killed the interviews today, showed his energy. You could tell that
Wait,
he
not to
really
interrupt you.
loves
Why did you
football.
like him today? What did you said he killed the interview?
Yeah, well, he came out and said he loves to impose his will, and you love hearing that as a coach, right? You talk about running the ball effectively, imposing your will as an offensive line, and that's how you help young quarterbacks. You got Daniel Jones, and you also have Zach Wilson. If you want to help those young quarterbacks, you run the football, right? Take some of that pressure off of them. So I just loved his energy and the way he came out, and you could tell the kid really loves football. But going back to the Giants' need, right? They need help all across the offensive line. They were beat up all across the offensive line, and it's really hard to really grade Daniel Jones and see if he could be, your foreseeable quarterback in the future, where he's always on his back because he's getting hit because there's no continuity in the offensive line. So Ikem Ekwonu will help with that right away. People have questioned him going at 4 if he slides to the New York Jets, but I think it's a great pick if Joe D is able to get him at 4 because of the position flexibility he brings, right? His sophomore year started at guard, so he can kick inside. I believe he can be a really good right tackle in the system, and people ask, what do? You got Mekhi Becton, you got George Fant. Well, I believe one of them will play left tackle, one will play right tackle. In his first year, Ikem Ekwonu can slide in at guard, and now you're talking about Elijah Vera Tucker and Ekwonu at your guard position. Again, want to help out your young rookie quarterback? Run the ball with some tenacity and some attitude, and that's what Ikem Ekwonu can do.
Speaking of bringing the energy, Ralph, my goodness.
I know, fantastic.
What could Ikem do for the Giants if he gets there?
Keep in mind the Giants right now have left tackle Andrew Thomas, and I don't know what else on the offensive line. They have no cap room, and they need to find 4 starters, basically. So, Ekwonu would fill one big spot. Right tackle is one of their biggest holes on the line. I would be blown away if they don't take an offensive lineman with at least one of their first 2 picks.
Yeah. Giants have 5 and 7, 5th and 7th pick.
So Ekwonu would fill a big hole. Give them the bookend tackles, whichever side they want to play each one on. They've been trying to protect the quarterback for 10 years and haven't figured it out. So this would be a really good start. And again, for the Jets, it's not the same kind of need. And if they only had 1 top 10 pick, I might say I'd rather see the edge rusher or something. But when you've got that second one as a safety net, and you can add that strength to the offensive line, I mean, you're really building something. If you've got a wall like that up front with Ekwonu and Vera Tucker and Becton and Fant. And
well, that's what I was saying. Good. You talk about, Leger brought it up, Mekhi Becton. You just drafted him high 2 years ago.
Yep.
So what? You slide him over? Is that what you said? What do you do with George Fant? I mean,
to me, I think Mekhi Becton would best be suited in this Michael LaFleur offense at right tackle. I think George Fant earned the right to be the left tackle.
Okay, so
forward.
if they get Icky, where does he go?
He slides in at guard. He played
okay.
at guard all his sophomore year. So this is a guy that can kick inside, and I think that's why I like him and why he's a separation from the other offensive tackles in this draft class, because he has so much position flexibility. He can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. He can play guard. So, again, Elijah Vera Tucker, Ekwonu at guard. And also, this is something that happened before. We've seen Jeremy Tunsil, his rookie year at the Miami Dolphins. They slid him in at guard, and then the next year they moved him out to tackle. Okay. So I think that's something Ekwonu could do.
One of the things I've learned over the years, and you guys know this, is if you get enough players at a spot, you figure it out.
Oh, 100%.
Just get the talent there, and
you said the talent.
Somebody's going to get hurt at some point.
Yeah.
Fant's a free agent next year. You don't know what Becton's future is going to be. It's the same on the defensive line. You got too many defensive ends. Well, guess what? One of them can slide over and play the middle and rush from there.
Exactly.
So just get the good players in the key positions, and everything sorts itself.
All right, we're talking about Icky, who, like you said, could go number 1. He might not even fall to Jets or Giants. Let's talk about a guy who probably would be there, Tyler Lindenbaum. He's the center from Iowa. How could he play a role in this Jets or Giants offensive line? And what do you take him with your 4th, 5th, 7th, or 10th pick?
I'd be more inclined if I were the Giants,
100%.
again, because they're just so desperate for numbers of offensive linemen. It's a little dicey when you're talking about a center or an interior lineman that high. Not a lot of people believe that there's a value of taking that position in the top 10, but it's been done before. Quentin Nelson with the Colts. I think Elijah Vera Tucker would have gone much higher now that people have seen him play. So I could see them doing it. I don't think he figures into the Jets because they're pretty good at center, and they, unless you want to play him over at guard, maybe for a year.
I know you just talked about a talent. You bring him over. McGovern kind of is older. Move him, slide him in a couple of years.
To me, if I were the Jets, I might trade back and think more about it. But again, it's do you value that kind of position that high? And a lot of teams don't.
The thing is, when you're looking at Linderbaum, do you think he's that special to take in the top 10? And a lot of talent evaluators think he is that special, but a lot of guys still have him going somewhere in the teens and the 20s just because of, position value. Like, they don't value taking a center in the top 10.
Yeah.
So as Ralph stated, I think if you're the Giants, if you can find a trade partner, maybe, push back into the draft, have somebody come up at that 7th spot, you push back into the teens, then you get your center for the future. You get, your rock steady center for Daniel Jones to help him with protections, to help him, protect him, and to call out protections when, blitzing linebackers are coming. But I just think it's a little rich to take him in the top 10. I don't think the Jets are even thinking about it, just because it literally be like just being greedy when it comes to offensive line.
Have you met their GM, Joe Douglas?
Yes, he likes to build.
I'm just throwing that out there.
But I would say, as Ralph alluded to earlier, right?
Can you be greedy, though, with
Edge rusher
O-line?
is a need, so I don't know if you could take two top,
Do you
offensive
see, though,
linemen.
each team taking an offensive line with those one of their top picks?
Well, definitely the Giants.
Yeah, for sure,
And
the
maybe
Giants.
even two.
Okay.
The Jets have other needs. At some point...
Well, don't the Giants have other needs?
Well, yeah, but not anything as big as off. 4 starters on the
No, you're
offensive line
okay.
that
You
come up
solid
with.
point there, Ralph.
For the Jets, we know Joe Douglas loves offensive linemen, but at some point, the defensive coaches are going to stand up and
And you need that,
what
like you
about
said.
us?
The edge rusher is at a premium, especially in Robert Sala's defense. You have to get after the quarterback. And if you've seen when he was in San Francisco, right, he likes to have 5 to 6 rushers so they can keep rotating guys. So that's a major need. We know Carl Lawson's coming off the injury. They just paid JFM a lot of money. He'll be able to kick inside if you're able to get a premium rusher at the top of the draft.
Yeah.
So now you're talking about Carl Lawson and maybe a top 10 pick on the edge and then moving JFM inside with, Quinnen Williams on 3rd down. Now you're talking about that NASCAR package where you got guys rotating in and getting after the quarterback. So I just think the Jets, they maybe take an offensive line in the, with either the 4 or 10 spot, but the Giants definitely need to take an offensive line. But I don't see the Jets taking 2 offensive line. That would just be
And
too
don't forget,
greedy.
the Jets have, 4 picks in the top 40.
Yes, exactly.
So you could always find that guy they need in the second round, early second round.
Their second round pick is essentially a late
first round,
So
100%.
they're going to get another.
And
big
look at
guy.
Elijah Moore, who they got last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, you talk about premium positions and what you need to do with it. Yesterday we talked about the unicorn position, the unicorn, the safety position. Robert Saleh said, well, if he's a unicorn, I'm going to take him if as a safety. Do you what's your belief on taking a safety that high?
I like Hamilton, right? I wouldn't take him in the top 10.
You really
I wouldn't take a safety in the top 10. Just like it's the center conversation, right? That's a premium pick. Do you think that position, could you take that guy in the top 10? Like, is he premium? Is he going to be impact right away? And, Kyle Hamilton has a lot of great attributes, right? Great range. We saw the pick versus Florida State where he's on one hash and made it to the other hash and intercepted the Florida State quarterback. We've seen him make great open field tackles. He's not a guy that's going to kill you, but he's a guy that's a short tackler in the open field. The thing is, when you take a safety that high, he's got to be a game-changing safety. And I think Kyle Hamilton's going to be a really good pro, but I don't know if he's a game-changing safety like that. Now, I know a lot of talent evaluators have him up there. They think he can be a game-changing safety, but I don't have him as high as other talent evaluators have. Now, again, I believe he's going to be a really good pro. I just wouldn't take him in the top 10.
Ralph, you always say whenever you talk about this, you're like, name me a team that says, wow, they're really good because of that safety. They're really good because of that center.
Right.
And it does.
Look, and there could be those guys, and Ed Reed, Sean Taylor was that kind of guy. But, there's a reason why usually they're not taken that high. There hasn't been a safety taken that high as 4 since Eric Turner in 1991.
How far did you have to research that one?
That was the research for sure.
And, Sean Taylor was the 5th pick. Eric Berry was the 5th pick.
Jamal was high.
Yeah, Jamal was, what was he, 6, I think. So it happens, but even with Jamal.
But like you said, though, you don't hear
Right.
You're that team's good because of him.
Right.
Exactly.
And if he's the final piece, you're picking that high, but you've got a good team, and boy, that safety will make the defense. That's fantastic. But the edge rusher will have more impact. The
100%.
tackle, the
100%.
cornerback even. I don't know if there's a cornerback worthy of that high, but a cornerback is more of an impact position than a safety.
All right, so we said the Jets have 4 and 10. What do you see them? You're drafting right now.
Yeah.
And you're Joe Douglas. Who are you taking?
Well, if Ikem
Or what
Ekwonu
position?
slides to number 4 spot, I'm taking him. I'm running up to the podium to turn that in just because I think he can really transform your offensive line. I know Zach Wilson was a little nervous earlier in the season because, the offensive line had to take a while to gel, and he was, getting hit a lot. So that kind of hurt him when it comes to his progression as far as him trusting in his offensive line, staying in the pocket, being able to look down and get hit receivers open. So I take, Ekwonu at number 4 because he solidifies your offensive line. And then at the 10th spot.
If Icky isn't there, are you still taking a lineman? Though with that
if he's
4
not
spot?
there?
Yeah.
If he's not there, then it's an issue. Well, is Evan Neal there? He's another guy that I really like. He has position flexibility. I could see the Jets really taking him at 4 too.
Okay.
I just think taking Kyle Hamilton at 4 is just a little bit too rich.
All right, so 10.
At 10, I'm taking Jermaine Johnson. We talk about the pass rusher. In this system, you got to be able to get after the quarterback. And we know that Carl Lawson is coming back from injury. JFM, John Franklin Myers, just got paid a lot of money. He played really well last year, played through some injuries. Now you're talking about adding a third in, right? And now Jermaine Johnson doesn't have to be the guy coming in right away. And then on third down, John Franklin Myers likes to rush over the guard. You can slide him inside. You have Jermaine Johnson on the outside and Carl Lawson on the outside, and you can get after the quarterback. When Robert Saleh was at San Francisco, they got after the quarterback, and they had 5 or 6 rushers continuously going after the quarterback. So you get that premium pass rusher at the 10th spot.
All right, Ralph, your $5 million draft, mock draft. Who are you taking at 4 and 10 for the Jets?
If Ekwonu somehow slid to them, he would be my choice because I think the edge rusher class is deep enough that you can get a really good one at 10 as well, whether it's Jermaine Johnson or George Karlaftis. There's probably other, David Ojabu. I don't know how.
I love him. I think he has the highest ceiling in this draft class. He's raw, so I think he'd be actually a really good fit for the Jets because, again, he wouldn't have to be the guy right away. He could be the third defensive end.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if Ekwonu is going to be there or not. In that case, is Kayvon Thibodeau going to be there? I might have to think about that. I don't know, but I'd like to see them get Ekwonu. I think that would be, it would break the Giants' hearts, but I think that would be the choice. I would go with an edge rusher at 10. I might, if I'm really in love with a receiver, I might think about that, especially if they don't get one in free agency. But, my feeling on receivers is always a lot of good ones are found in the second round.
100%.
So,
Elijah Moore?
Exactly. You don't have to get that one stud. There's going to be a guy who's 6'2" who can run. Yeah. So I think the edge rusher is going to be harder to find later. So tackle edge rusher is how I would go.
And real quick, because we have to wrap, what about the Giants, 5 and 7?
Offensive line.
Offensive line.
For the Giants, right now they would take with that 5th pick Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal, or Ikem Ekwonu, and if those are the top 4 picks, there's going to be a lot of crying in the draft.
It's going to be a struggle for them. So, if I'm the Giants, again, I have to take offensive line, one of those 2 picks. Second pick, I'm taking a receiver because they need a healthy playmaker for Daniel Jones. Again, it's hard to evaluate a quarterback when all his playmakers are hurt and the offensive line is hurt. And we saw that last year. Sterling was hurt a lot of games. Slane missed some games. Their prize free agent receiver missed a good portion of the season. So they need a pass catcher on the outside. If they really love somebody, maybe Garrett Wilson at 7, they take a pass catcher. If not, maybe like Ralph talked about, trade back. See if somebody is willing to come up to number 7, trade back, and then get your pass catcher then.
Leger doesn't understand quick.
I'm sorry.
I obviously missed the blue memo.
Sorry.
Obviously, appreciate you.
I almost wore the actual SNY
Did you?
polo.
That would have been embarrassing for me.
Yeah, you really would have been out.
That was a lot of fun, guys. Leger, nice of you to show up. Raph, as always, fun.
Yes.
Another edition of the Tailgate live from Indianapolis. Combine. I think I'm going home now. Okay.
Oh, good luck. I got a few more days before.
All right, Leger,
I'll be here
Ralph.
for a while.
All right.